Eva, how did you find carnivore?
Dave, thank you so much for asking. I'm really happy to talk to you again. Finding carnivore was one of the greatest blessings in my life, in my health. I I was keto before I was carnivore. I struggled for most of my adult life in my 20s and 30s with endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome. I think it became quite common amongst women. And I went through many experiences trying to deal with it, many different types of doctors, different forms of medicine, different lifestyles. One path that I went on in order to try and be the healthiest possible was I went vegan, first vegetarian and then vegan, and I joined the cult. And I'll say that because I truly didn't understand was what was happening to myself. I was quite judgmental of the world around me, and that's why I use that word because I think it's not cool. It's not cool to judge people and tell people what to do and determine that things are good or bad, etc. But the veganism caused quite a bit of a problem for me in time. I was a vegan for about 4 years. And in my last year of being a vegan, I was a raw vegan. So I traveled the world to learn how to create the vegan raw version of all the foods that I enjoyed. Cereals and yogurts and cheeses with raw nuts. And so for the last year of my vegan life, I was raw vegan. I lost a lot of weight, and I thought I got a lot of attention for losing a lot of weight. And I loved how that felt because with the polycystic ovarian syndrome and the endometriosis, I was overweight. I struggled with estrogen dominance. And so being vegan and vegetarian, particularly on the raw side, I lost a lot of weight and I thought it was great. I had never felt like that before. But my family and my friends were concerned about me. And I think we saw things differently. I was not healthy, skinny. I had lost a lot of definition and muscle mass. In that last year of being vegan, I was losing my hair. My menstrual cycle had stopped. Now, this was in my early 30s. And terrible skin conditions. I wasn't sleeping well. And I think it was when my menstrual cycle stopped. And I was in the early stages of our marriage, talking about starting a family. And I knew that I can't have a family and I can't conceive in this health. So I went through a process, I guess emotionally and mentally, that I decided, let me give this a break and see what happens. And when I started eating meat again or dairy, it was as if my brain came to life for the first time in years. And what was normal for me had disappeared. So then I realized it wasn't really normal to have this foggy, tired brain feeling all the time. And I thought that was that was just stress of life. It was just going through the demands of work and relationships, etc. So that was an incredible time for me where I stopped being vegan and vegetarian. Within 5 weeks of eating dairy and animal products, my menstrual cycle came back. I stopped, noticing huge amounts of hair loss coming out everywhere, and my skin started getting better. But before the skin and the hair loss, I was sleeping incredibly well. So yeah, PCOS and endometriosis took me into veganism, and I think it made my health worse in hindsight. So I continued the journey of trying treatments to deal with the PCOS. Um, it did get a little bit better in terms of the symptoms when I was meat based, or rather omnivore. I ate everything, um, but it wasn't perfect, obviously, because I was eating everything. I was having still the carbs and everything that I understood from vegetarianism, but adding meat added a lot of pressure from the symptoms. But I wasn't getting better really. So I was blessed. One night, my husband found a doctor online that was helping women, and I went to see him. And this was in 2018 that made me go keto from the omnivore side. And this doctor said, you're overweight, you're estrogen dominant, you're not going to correct this. You don't need any medical treatment to correct it. We can obviously put you on some supplements, but you need to do two things. You need to cut out all sugar and carbohydrates from your life. So you can have as many green veggies as you're comfortable with having, no fruit, just the low carb veggies with all the meat that you care for. Eat as much of the fattier types of meat. Stay away from the lean meats and eat like that. And immediately he told me to go into an eating window. He said, I want you to eat as much as that within a 6 hour eating window. And for the rest of the 24-hour cycle, I want you to fast. And you can have tea and coffee and water, no sugars, have all the dairy you want, etc. But I want you to fast for 18 hours and then eat fatty meat and vegetables. And I thought, this is crazy. I've never met a doctor that has ever said this before, ever. And I was really grateful for that. I'm like, okay, well, if Doc said so, we'll do that. And my husband went onto the lifestyle with me. And that was in 2018. And that is when everything transformed for me. Continuing with the fatty meat, but cutting out all the carbs and processed foods and sugars was, my gosh, I really did become a different person. There was definitely no going back. And so I was um, keto for a number of years, into 2020. Okay, so 2 years keto. And then it was in early 2021 that I was very happy doing my 1 or 2 meals a day within a 6 hour eating window. I was feeling incredible. My symptoms, by the way, were completely gone. In terms of how I was feeling with the endometriosis and the PCOS, it was all gone. And so I was living my new life. It was incredible. I was very happy. I was more productive. I was a nicer person, I think. It was for a number of many months that my family and friends were commenting that, I told you so. I told you so. You're a nicer person to talk to hang out with, to be with. I told you so. You should have been eating meat all this time. So, but the thing is, I think I hit a stall. I I wanted to get down a little bit more in terms of weight. I was still a little bit, I was carrying still quite a bit of visceral fat. I wasn't tracking any macros or calories or quantities. I was just living the best life. It's so nice. It's so nice when a woman is told, eat the meat, and stay away from the chicken breast and salad. So I enjoyed that thoroughly. No, no counting. It did something interesting to my mindset, Dave. I think cutting out sugar and all the addictive things, I got rid of this anxiety of weighing myself and how do I look and what does the scale say? It's interesting that stopped completely being something that was important. But I wanted, early 2020, it was COVID, it was lockdown, and I was doing research, and then I took a deeper dive into keto, and then I did a lot more of the intermittent fasting, and I just became obsessed with the lifestyle in general. I did everything that Dr. Berg was recommending in terms of um, intermittent fasting, and then experimenting with dry fasting, and that was incredible. And then it was actually so things continued for another year. And I knew of the carnivore lifestyle. I did. I read about it. I thought this is ridiculous and it's crazy. We can't meat. I've proven how incredibly healthy it is, but certainly we need the green veggies and we need the nuts and the seeds, and the olive oil. We need the olive oil. I'm Mediterranean and it has to be in everything on everything. Um, early 2021, I was sitting at home and how did I get into carnivore from keto? I was sitting at home and Dr. Ken Berry's video came to me in my feed, and I knew of him, and I was an incredible fan of his wife Nisha, and I was following her ketovore lifestyle. But then I saw Dr. Ken Berry's video, I guess about how to go carnivore, why to go carnivore, and why we really don't need vegetables. And I looked up at my husband and I said, I think I'm going to try this for 30 days. And he said, no, if you're going to try something properly, give it 90 days. And I'm like, 90 days, no broccoli and olive oil. Okay, well, look, I've been through worse. I did some crazy things. I was vegan, I was vegetarian. I was feeling a lot worse from different things. So I thought, okay, I'll do it for 90 days. And those were the good days of carnivore because, and I'll explain later. So that was 2021, 4 years ago, March 2021. So it's just over 4 years. And I've been carnivore for 4 years. As the years have gone on, those 90 days were incredible. So whatever was animal based, I would use that to replace my vegetables. So I replaced my veggies with bacon. And at that time, I had an incredible craving and demand for eggs. I think for about 2 years, I was doing 6 to 10 eggs a day without fail. And that was almost a starter to my meat dish. But I did the whole range, the whole spectrum of carnivore, and I really enjoyed it. So I would have the sausages and the dirty carnivore, as I understand it to be now. It was the sausages and the cured meats and the hams and salamis that had whatever it had inside it. They had spices and fillers, etc. But I did the whole spectrum, and in spite of that, I felt much better than I did on keto. The last few symptoms of my the extra weight that I didn't want to carry anymore, that dropped off quite quickly within the 90 days. And I had decided, okay, so I had decided to do the 90 days. That week, I had seen my doctor. And although I had no symptoms from the endometriosis at all, it's nothing I ever felt anymore. There was no more pain. The scar tissue and the cysts that were causing hormonal changes were still there, but they were just living there, quite dormant and not bothering me, and I wasn't bothering them, and they were getting smaller, but they still existed, the cluster of polycystic cysts, right? But we were friends. We were not harming each other in any type of symptom. And I had gotten that scan the first week of carnivore. I determined that at 90 days, I'd go back and see my doctor. And I went and I saw her. And on the scan, everything was cleared. There was no sign of any cysts. The scar tissue was virtually non existent. Everything was gone. And I remember she had to pull up the record of what my scans looked like 90 days prior to what they were now. And that was an emotional day because it was 20 years of dealing with, sure, any woman that has had this knows what I'm talking about. It sucked for 20 years. Everything was painful. And to have that completely disappear in 90 days of eating all the meat and butter and tallow and sausages that I wanted, even though it was dirty carnivore. There were still spices in there. There were probably fillers in there. The bacon at times probably had whatever makes it delicious and sweet. And in spite of that, it was a complete turnaround. And it was that scan that told me I'm not going back. I don't have a reason to add vegetables and olive oil and nuts and seeds back into my diet. I will tell you that, over the 4 years, and particularly in that year when I decided it's 90 days, but I'm not going back. Throughout that year, there were times that I fell off and I'd go to family events and I'd have some almonds, or I'd have a steak that was cooked in olive oil, something like that. Or I'd make those mistakes in that first year in restaurants. And I found how incredibly um, addictive those experiences were, that the almonds triggered huge cravings for more and more and more. And then it made me like fantasize about bread and sugar and ice cream. And I thought, my goodness, this is just a healthy plant that's triggered me. And that's when I started cleaning up my carnivore. And I'm at the point now where 100% still strict carnivore, but in the 4 years I've gravitated to things that just make me feel the best. No more sausages with spices and fillers. I'm more sensitive to spices now. But it was incredible to see how in those first 2 years, when I did have those keto snacks and foods, they would trigger inflammation within my skin and in my abdomen, cause a bit of pain in my abdomen, and those are the healthy keto foods. Um, and I became quite passionate about the carnivore lifestyle. I do blood work every 4 months or so just to see where things are. And I've what I love about that is that I've got, in terms of the vitamin and mineral concentration in my blood, I've got the highest um, that I've ever had before, if I look at the results over the years. But also, I like to go on these blood work expeditions with my family, my sister and my brother and my husband. And amongst us, I'm the only carnivore, really, strict carnivore, and I've got the highest concentration of all of that good stuff in my family. So it's been the greatest blessing. Carnivore, in all the things I've tried over the years for my health, it's been the best version of me. And I can't get tired of the food, Dave. I
Right.
I when I eat a steak or ground beef, it's like it's for the first time. There must be a reason for that. It must be the way I'm meant to eat. But the proof is too strong to try and argue anything with me. I know that Google and ChatGPT and even people can give us a lot of reasons why vegetarianism and veganism or even keto is a great thing. But I guess it depends on where you're coming from. But in my journey, it's certainly carnivore is the best. I couldn't live any other way. And I could tell you that the weight loss that comes from carnivore is really not the real prize of carnivore. It's right at the bottom of the list. There are hundreds of other things that I've been blessed with because of this lifestyle that I wasn't even looking for. And so the weight, I mean, my weight still fluctuates. There are times when I'll, I just, I just want to consume more than a kilo of beef a day, which is way more than I really need. And my weight does fluctuate, but it doesn't last, and there's no symptoms with it. There's no problems with that. So the weight loss, and I will even say that being free of endometriosis and PCOS, whilst it is the greatest gift, there are other things that have come from this that are really up there, like mental health and peace in my brain. These are things I never bargained for, but it's been an incredible blessing. So that's me. Here I am, and not going back.
That's nice. Congratulations. One thing that I wanted to ask is, what was your doctor's reaction at that 90-day visit when, like, everything has just vanished?
Do you know, she was a bit beside herself. She remembered me from the previous visit, and she knew about my struggles for years. She's a family doctor, so she remembers a lot of details. She knows what I'm going through with my work, how Marlon's doing, my husband, that she saw my sister just the week before. She knows everything, but she had to go and pull up the files, although she had the memory of how our engagement was just a few months before, and she had to pull up the files and look at it, and she started off, then she moved to really showing me what are we looking at the scan that the layman, me, wouldn't understand. Like, okay, do you see that this is your bladder and this is your kidney? Now pay attention to this and look at where this was 3 months ago. She was quite in shock. We never spoke about what it was, what had caused it. She did notice some weight loss and she chunked it down to that, but I never spoke to her about carnivore because I guess I don't know. I guess I wasn't in the mood because every doctor would tell me, lovely, that's great, try that, but it's not going to be sustainable, except Dr. Fenter of 2018 that put me on the lifestyle. He's the only person I would really talk to about that. But she had to pull up the records, and she's never forgotten that. So when I do see her, she remembers that, and everything is pretty much the same as it
I
was
want
then.
I wonder if that's kind of like a pattern interrupt, because 99.9% of the time, doctors are always dealing with things getting worse, not getting better. And so when she's got your scans suddenly and things have got better, it's like she can't it's hard to kind of square the circle.
Correct. Some doctors I've heard um, chunk things down like that to a once-off anomaly, an unexplainable thing, instant whatever, without any medical reason. And diet and lifestyle is certainly not going to be one of them. Um, they have doctors like her that I've seen before where things did get better. So when I was keto and I went into the omnivore and symptoms got better, at that time, the reasoning with the doctors is that they had put me on a form of a form of diabetes medication to take my insulin down, to keep my insulin down. And so when symptoms were getting better at the time when I incorporated meat, I was taking those supplements that they had put me on. Insumax Q. It's a blood sugar management thing that I guess diabetics stay on for as long as they're diabetic. And at that time, it was chunked down to that. It was like, oh, it's because you're taking the insulin medication stuff. But truly, PCOS and endometriosis is an insulin resistance problem that causes whatever happens, estrogen dominance and whatever comes with that, and hormonal imbalances. It is an insulin challenge, but nothing keeps your insulin as aggressive as sugar and carbohydrates, and constantly eating and constantly snacking. And when that stopped, um, I would track my insulin. My insulin was I was in ketosis for the longest time, and nothing is more ketogenic than carnivore. And I learned that from Dr. Berg and Dr. Ken Berry, that you keep your insulin down and watch things heal. And this is the most, um, I don't know, protective insulin diet possible. So, yeah, it was lovely to see that with the doctor. And gosh, yeah, that was 4 years ago.
So is there any kind of do you have any feeling of frustration, thinking that for years people are telling you, well, that's just the way you are, or you need to take medication and that kind of thing. And it turns out it's really about how you're managing your diet.
Yes, I went through every emotion you can possibly think of and forms of regret. Um, and then I went through a period of acceptance. And the biggest part of that in hindsight is that Dave, I had to forgive myself because I was quite the stubborn one. Whilst doctors and general medical professionals um, do have misled me, I had to take the responsibility of um, not trusting the people around me that were actually guiding me in a different way. I was the stubborn one saying, no, vegetarian is the right way to be. And in fact, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly and take it to the extreme and become a vegan. And at some point, I had to take responsibility not responsibility as much as forgive myself for the harm that I caused myself. And I think whilst mainstream has a big power in influencing us, in hindsight, I can see that, you know, life did bring me a lifeboat to try and help me, and I wasn't listening. And if I could tell anyone anything, I would say just try different things. Don't be so dogmatic as I was. And so you're right, I was angry for a long time, but mostly angry with myself for not paying attention to the harm that I was causing myself as a vegetarian and buying into that and not being open to trying other things until eventually I did. But it had to get really bad for me in order to try things differently. And that is the one thing that I had to forgive. Like, okay, you're human. Find the blessings in that. And luckily, everything that I lost during that time I got back a hundredfold with Carnivore. So there was a lot of redemption in this journey of Carnivore.
Right. And, has it helped you with things like your productivity, focus at work, things like that?
Oh wow, yes, absolutely. Um, Mentally, I'm the sharpest. I think my mind gets sharper as the months go on. I'm able to take on a lot more responsibility at work and at home. I've got more energy. I do things that I never really had the energy to do before. The morning walks, spending a bit of time weightlifting. I'm not a big gym person, but I love how that makes me feel. And the definition changes quicker on carnivore, or it has in the 4 years that I've gone through my gym cycles. Um, I think my mental health is one of the is more pronounced than energy and productivity. Um, Mental health, emotional health. Things used to trigger me very quickly in the beginning. And okay, I still get I'm female, and I've got this Mediterranean family, so I can go to from 0 to 100 very quickly, but it's not the same as it was before. I'm a lot calmer than I used to be and a bit more compassionate. Oh my goodness. How does eating meat make me more compassionate? Listen to that. I used to say that being a vegan made me compassionate, but I was emotionally a monster toward people and very judgmental. And I don't know, I'm a lot more, I think, well, you'll have to check with my family, but I feel a lot more calm and accepting of life around me than when I was. Fewer things anger me now than they did before. Mental health was never something I wanted, but it's part of the package.
Yeah, something you say there resonates with me, when you talk about how you used to go from 0 to 100 really quickly, I think one of the things that happens is it's almost like life, or things hitting you in life seem to slow down a little bit. It's almost like something happens with the way you process information, and you're not processing things as if they're hitting you really quickly. And so the tension and the, I don't know, the aggressiveness or frustration or whatever it is doesn't build as quickly as it did before,
I can
So
definitely that does make sense to me. The way you explain it, it resonates 100%. That does make sense, but it does hit you differently, and it or you receive it differently, and it doesn't build. You're quite right. I think maybe the my ability to carry more load on stuff is greater. I'd like to think compared to the
yeah,
vegan Eva. Mm.
yeah. One thing I noticed in myself, and I'm interested if you notice this, is I would be on more of a hair trigger before when someone asked me a question or something, right? And they ask you the question, and you're on this hair trigger thinking, "What's behind the question?" Right? What is behind the question? What are they? Is they trying to insinuate this? And like then you're reacting to what you're imagining might be behind the question rather than just going, "Oh, it's a question. Let me answer it."
Dave, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I think you are me and I am you. That's exactly what happens. And I would read between the lines on every little thing, things that are not there. There's no agenda, there's no conspiracy. It's just a question, and they really care to ask. So it's funny that you say that. Yeah, I don't need to be that person anymore. Oof,
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to be. It almost feels like it's this for me anyway. It's this weird feeling of being elevated or floating above that, and kind of just looking down and thinking, "I can't believe I was that extreme."
absolutely. Yeah, so much more in touch. It's not just with the body, but with the consciousness around it, and being able to separate things and discern between the noise and really what's the truth. And you can feel it. It's so subtle. It's incredible. And okay, that's the energetic side of it, the EQ side of it, but it's unbelievably scary how one lick of maybe some ketchup that someone put on my boiled egg, how that completely changes my brain. And it's quite scary, the human capability of adapting and surviving through toxins every single day. It's a very subtle thing, and it can change my whole outlook on life. Just one plant thing that I put into my body, and I've become a different person. I've become that person that questions everything, that has anxiety, that's paranoid, from something that's not a whole food, animal whole food. It's, yeah, interesting.
So, just to explore that a little bit more, because you mentioned something that I think I feel it's something that changed for me. Is you said EQ. So I feel like this, like nutrition is a way, proper nutrition is a way to have better emotional intelligence.
No
And for
doubt.
me, I think that manifests in listening. Um, Before, I would just have treated listening as waiting to talk. And when someone's sharing something with me, the whole time they're sharing, I'm not actually listening. I'm just thinking, what am I going to say when it's my turn to talk? What am I, is it my turn to talk yet? Should I be talking? Should I say something now? And like, I feel like my emotional intelligence in those terms have improved because now I can actually listen to people and wait and then ask them intelligent questions about what they actually said rather than going, "Oh, it's my turn. I can say something now."
I will back you up on that. You are an incredible listener, and I've watched so much of your content and I always think the following. So you listen, and I'm listening to your interview as well. And then later you'll ask a question about something your guest said that even they forgot about, and you want to unpack that a little bit. You, Dave, are an incredible listener. I agree, and that's why I love your channel so much, because you create such a lovely open space for people to speak. But your questions are some of the best that I've ever heard, and from your questions, I learn a lot more. And I agree with you. It does improve one's EQ. It had for me. It has for me to become a bit more conscious. And for me, the consciousness on the EQ side is um, I want to now truly understand the choices that people make and empathize with them, because I went through those addictions and I'm still addicted. I'm an addict. I cannot touch certain things. I will become crazy on those substances. And so when I was not carnivore, my listening was to judge and to find something in what my family and friends were saying to prove why they were wrong and I was right. Now I'm listening to truly understand and empathize with what they're going through, because I am you, that person. I am that person with an addiction that will justify the behaviors that they make, and it actually improved it has improved our relationships if I just listen and accept it and ask questions, not listen to tell you where you're wrong. And I think that's where the EQ and the compassion has come in for me. When I was not keto or carnivore and I was just a wreck, I was very judgmental. I was horrible, and now I'm more accepting. Before, as a vegan vegetarian, it would be, now, this is me talking to my poor husband. I've been told that my husband will be sainted when he dies because of what I've put him through as a vegan vegetarian over the years. But I would be that vegetarian or vegan that would say, you may not enter into this house with that bottle of milk or that piece of cheese. You want to eat that at your sister's house. Eat. I was a monster, very judgmental. Um, my gosh. So this is where that forgiveness comes in, to accept that I must be responsible for not seeing things clearly. And as a keto meat eater, heavy ketovore, then carnivore, bring in whatever you want to eat. We'll eat the same thing every day, and we do. My family and I share the same meat-based meal every day. But when they are adding the avocado and the whatever and the nuts and the olive oil, I completely relate to them. I know where they are in their journey. They are still perfect. I still love them. They are still a gift in my life. And so be it. It's your body, it's your life. Let's just be happy. There's compassion, understanding, because I know where they are. There's no judgment. And for me, I don't know, I put that into the EQ side of things. Um, yeah, and everything's just great. And we're all
Uh,
blessed.
nice. So day to day, are you eating 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day?
I'm a one meal a day person, and that's how I feel my best. In the last few weeks, I've been traveling and a weird schedule, so I've been eating twice a day, and it doesn't feel good for me. I don't like it. One meal a day, but then I'm eating when I get home from work, and the schedule is the normal routine. One meal a day, beef, eggs. I love lamb. Lamb is my favorite. But beef is what I'm drawn to, fatty beef, and that's it every day. I'm not a fan of pork, so I'm pretty much sticking to beef for the last 2 years. Beef, lamb, eggs, a lot of butter. I'm making my own butter now. I'm so proud of myself. It doesn't look great, but it tastes delicious. So I add that to everything. I cook everything in tallow and my own butter. Um, and that's it. From time to time, I'll actually crave some chicken. So I'll have like a whole air fryer of chicken thighs. Um, Ton of eggs still. I'm averaging 6, 7 eggs a day. And that's it, one meal a day for the most part.
Wow. What prompted you to start making your own butter?
Dave, that's another show. I don't know if you want to talk about this. Okay, so I was making my own L. rhodori yogurt. It's a special strain of bacteria that Dr. William Davis has brought to the world with a huge amount of benefits. Again, Dr. Berg um, helped me discover this on his channel. And Dr. Berg says this is how you make it, and it's incredible for the oxytocin neurotransmitter and your mood and muscle definition and all of these gorgeous stuff. So I've been making Alrodari yogurt for about, I don't know, 6 months or so. But yogurt, dairy, made with cream, incredible, highly, highly addictive for me. It's like ice cream. I'm not good with dairy. The only dairy I can do is butter. So I stopped the Alrodari yogurt. My family still eats it. I still make it, but it triggers me to craving levels incredible. So I thought, could I continue to age the cream and breed the bacteria that I really enjoy? It does make me feel better in a way that removes all the lactose. And I found a way to do that. So now I'm making the Alrodari to the point of yogurt, and then I'm extracting or moving the fat from it and getting rid of the lactose and the milk part of it. And that has been amazing for me. No more cravings. That's why.
Ah, I see. Okay. Um, so Eva, based on the experience you've had, if a friend came to you and said, "I want to give this a try, I want to start carnivore," what advice or tips would you give them?
If I was free from my life and my career, I have these dreams of talking to such people and saying to them, I'll come and live with you for 90 days and hold your hand and help you with everything that I think you should do to be successful and happy. I want to be the person that's there to tell you, no, it's okay. You can eat more. It's fine. You can have bigger portions. I would really do the utmost to help them and show them exactly where to start. I'd go shopping with you, help you understand, give you the research, tell you exactly what to do. But look, anyone asking, um, go to the experts. We're grateful. I mean, we are lucky to have the resources that we have. So go to Dave Mack's channel and listen to hundreds of interviews. Then figure out, you'll see how simple it is if you listen to Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Anthony Chafee and Dr. There's so many, and I've got a list of them. I've actually got a list on my phone, and I would send it to people because I've met up with one or two carnivores here in Johannesburg, and I just say go and read up on all of that. Eat all the fatty meat and eggs that you want. Stop calorie counting and give it, please, 90 days. Give it 90 days. Um, yeah, just do it. Just eat. It's so simple. Ground beef, eggs, tallow, steak. Just do that as often as you want, and do that without questioning it for 90 days. And you'll be surprised, like I was, at all the changes that you were not looking for. But we've got so much information on YouTube that I would direct them to that, and then tell them if it's locally, I know where you need to shop, where to get the best product at the best prices, and enjoy. Just eat meat, really.
Nice. So Eva, if people want to reach out to you, is there any way they can get in contact? Do you have any social media or any other way of reaching out?
Dave, on YouTube, I started a channel that I'm not building and I'm not nurturing, but I do get messages there. I think the handle is at Eva Johannesburg. That's right. So the channel's name's just Eva. I didn't even put my surname there. I put a lot of content there in terms of what I eat, how I prep, but I've stopped. I haven't done anything there for many months. But I guess Facebook, Eva August.
No worries. I'll link to your Facebook and to the YouTube in the show notes.
Bless you.
Um, Thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know how things are going. I really appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you, Dave. Thank you for what you do and for this platform. You are tremendous. I'm lucky to know you, and thank you. Thank you, and well done.